Welcome. My name is Sheldon. If you're new here, thank you for stopping by and spending a few moments with me. So the question I'd like to pose this morning is, I'm out in my car because I have roommates that don't sleep. Out of 8 roommates in the last 3 years, none of them sleeps at night. I don't even see them sleep during the day very often. It's bizarre. But if I start to talk, they start going in the kitchen and making tons of noise, and then the guy above me starts like jumping up and down. So I'm in my car. But the question I'd like to pose is, why is it that people that have a rough beginning in life, for instance, a family scapegoat, then end up getting treated by society and the vast majority of others for the rest of their life? And even while you're living within that family, like in the same residence as someone coming up, you'll even get mistreated by professors or teachers or others as well. And, I'd like to pose that question, take a minute and think about that. Like, is it an imprint? But while you're thinking about that, consider hitting like, leaving a comment, or subscribing if it so moves you. Okay, so let's jump into it. So recently I made a video about pigeons and chickens. I've always been really, really intrigued with animals and their behavior, and especially when they're interacting with each other. So even like little infants, like you put a little 8 or 9 month old next to another 8 or 9 month old. For me, that's very intriguing, seeing them interact with each other. And how maybe one little thing of jealousy, you'll see it pop up because now one child's mother interacts nicely with the other child, and then all of a sudden you'll see the other child kind of lash out. Or with pets, you'll see that, like with my dog, if I go pet someone else's dog, all of a sudden my dog will saddle up to me and give me a look like, what about me? Am I yesterday's news? So it's always been very intriguing to me. And I raised Rhode Island Reds, and from little tiny hatchlings. And I named them, and I got to watch. I'd go down in the garage where we kept them, and I'd sometimes spend an hour or two just kicking it there, watching them. And it's a great form of education, watching animals, with extreme patience, just sitting there like a bump on a log and observing. But one thing I noticed with pigeons in the city, right? Like I remember being at McDonald's and sitting out on the front area outside and tossing French fries to the pigeons and the sparrows. And what you'll notice is one of the sickly birds will start to get attacked by the other birds. And I think, we're also very social animals, and I think it has something to do with that. It comes from that concept of scarcity and abundance, because the animals, the chickens and the pigeons in this case, will attack the weak one that's acquired some illness that's ruining its immune system. And it stops caring for its feathers, and they notice that, its feathers now are really oily as opposed to a healthy looking bird. And they'll start to get some of these bald patches around their neck, and they start to get attacked, literally pecking at them to like make their situation worse. And you'll see the desperation on that bird. It gets these big eyes, and it realizes its own brothers and cousins and parents are trying to kill it. And it doesn't know what to do because this is its family. It can't run and leave its family, but then again, it can't stay because they're trying to kill it. And you'll see that panic in the bird's face, like, what do I do? But why? And it's because of these resources. There's only so many seeds on the ground. In that McDonald's situation, he's only tossing one French fry every 3 or 4 minutes, and we don't even like you because you're going to be dead anyway soon. So, like, the concept is they think that you're not going to make it. So you're like a waste of resources, of time, of space. So it would be better off if you were just dead. So some of these birds, instead of going for the French fry, will churn and try to kill the sickly family member. Now, I'm not saying scapegoats are sickly, but somehow or another, these individuals around you have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray to think that you are sickly. And how do they get that opinion? It's out of, like, survival. They think that poorly of you because it makes them feel superior and more important and powerful and capable. And so it comes from that mindset that there's only so much, a mindset of scarcity versus abundance. And then it goes on and on and on. In my case, you can go out and you can really have a great work ethic and, have a lot of people be really impressed with your level of achievements. And it still continues, I only have 3 valuable things other than my dog. And that's my car, my motorcycle, and this really, really nice Breitling watch that I purchased. I came into $12,000, and I thought, I'll just buy one nice thing for myself, other than nice vehicles. And I bought this watch, and I only wore it about, I'd say, 5 times a year, because I would only, wear it out on a nice dinner out, really fancy restaurant that I may have been invited to, or a wedding, or a funeral. I only have one really nice suit, and, if I ever wore that suit, I'd wear this nice Breitling watch. And the car, when I took it in for maintenance, got the computer screen scratched up, and they broke the where I rest my sidearm. But you can't tell because it looks normal. But they purposefully, I feel, broke the support. So now it doesn't support my arm. The computer screen, I have to see all these scratches forever now. But you only notice the scratches when the sun is on it. If you're out at night and you look at the computer screen, you can't see it. So it's things that I didn't notice right away. This Breitling watch, I was going to sell it. So I took it to a pawn shop, and the guy was looking at, I have the box, I have the original Breitling paperwork, I have the whole package. The same leather band, which was very expensive, that I replaced. And the guy goes, okay, I just need to take it in the back room for a minute to do something. I forget what he said. And then he brought it back. The very next day, it stopped working. My motorcycle, no matter where I take it to get worked on, they put 2 scratches in the bike every time, and they do shoddy work. Now, I'm meeting someone on Tuesday to sell the motorcycle because by me owning it, I'm simply destroying it. Now, this watch, I took it to a guy to get it fixed. Wants to spend like $700, $800 just to fix the winding mechanism. So I dropped it off, and he said it would be 5 or 6 weeks. It's been 3 months. The guy hasn't called me. All I have is this little tiny piece of paper with his name, just Gordon, on it. And then down in fine print, it says, any goods left more than 60 days, not responsible for any goods left more than 60 days. So now I'm thinking, is this guy in on this gang stalking too? Because the police, the apartment management will only give me people that like never leave the apartment and never sleep. And I'll be sandwiched in between them. The apartment management is in on it and the police are in on it. It's like, wow, things have gone from bad to worse. I was much better off getting abused in my family as a little 8-year-old, 9-year-old than what's going on now. Because it's like they don't want me to have anything nice. It's like they want to take all of my money and take all of my possessions. And the good Lord doesn't seem able to protect me from that. But he doesn't really care much about material possessions anyways. Because if you take the one person whose feast day it is today, St. Francis of Assisi, he, more than anyone else, in my opinion, tried to take the words of Jesus from the 4 Gospels and implement them into his life more than anyone else. So poverty was a big part of it. Just wearing basically a sackcloth and no shoes and giving to the poor. And so, if you take things to the extreme, Jesus really doesn't care much about our possessions. He'd almost actually rather have us have no possessions and really just focus on the afterlife. Store up your treasures in heaven, not down here on earth where dust gathers, strong men can break in and steal it, cobwebs get all over it. So that's why I've been kind of okay selling off my extensive coin collection that I started when I was in 1976. I started it. So I was 9 years old. I had a book that had every single coin that had ever been made in the history of America, and even all the gold coins. I sold off all the gold coins one by one, and then I sold the book off about a couple weeks ago. And it's liberating to let go of things, because I've had my apartment broken into 3 times in just the last 2 months. And, that would be terrible to have that stolen. So at least I don't have to worry about that being stolen. But then trying to deal with the apartment management, they just toy with me about how someone's breaking in my apartment. They go, okay, we're going to fix your locks, change your locks. They send a very official notice. We'll be there between 9:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. So I wait the whole day, and then at the end of the day, they said, we saw you leaving in your car, so we didn't come by. And it's like, well, I've always said you can come by without me. I've lived here almost 2 years. So that doesn't make sense, we'll be by tomorrow. Sure enough, they don't come by tomorrow. These people want to just F with you, just play with you nonstop like a cat plays with a dying mouse, to just kind of cause you to go nuts. Because, like, for instance, the front forks, I just wanted them to balance the front tire on the motorcycle, and they bust the seal on the front fork, the left front fork seal. And so I take it back the next day, and they act all pissy about it, and it's like, hey, I didn't break it. Why are you treating me like this? And then it says 20 weight. You cannot put 20 weight in. It'd be way too stiff. And it says 20 weight on the paperwork. I call, they yell at me, and they say, no, it says 10 weight. I'm looking at it. And it's like, I'm looking at it too. It says 20 weight. So, hey, but as long as you're going to put in 10 weight, I'm good. They put in 20 weight. And it's scratched on the right fork. So I can tell they took off both forks. Instead of just saving money and buying the 10 weight, they took off both forks and replaced all oil in both forks with 20 weight to like mess with me. So they were willing to spend much more time and money to do the job wrong than to just put in the 10 weight on just the left fork and do it properly. Makes no sense. And they left scratches on the bike. And while it was there, I think they purposefully misaligned the back tire, because now a brand new tire. I got 15,000 out of the rear tire last time. Now 1,000 miles and it needs to be replaced because they put the alignment wrong. That's like purposeful. It's not hard for a mechanic to put the alignment correctly. And so it's like, is this watch guy in on it? Which is a whole like 50-minute drive away. It's like when I drove 2 hours away to have breakfast at a Denny's, and there was a gang stalker there with dark sunglasses just staring at me the whole time, wouldn't even take a sip of his coffee, just mad dogging me. In the very next booth, we're looking face to face. And it didn't bother me because I'm so used to it. I was just playing with my phone. He didn't have his phone out, didn't have any food, wasn't even drinking his coffee, just staring me down for like 50 minutes straight. It's crazy. And it's like, this is all permitted by the Lord. I even get attacked by the spiritual world. And that's the way it's been ever since I came back to the Lord. I've been getting attacked by night in the spiritual realm. I've been getting attacked by my bosses, been getting attacked by just neighbors, people in society. And it's like, now I'm having organ failure. And then I share that with someone and they're like, well, you only experience as much stress as you allow. And I kind of just go, if you only knew. If you only knew. Instead, I just said, okay, well, I'm going to go now. But they bait you. Almost everyone tries to bait you into being offended or reacting. That woman, who we talk about Jesus all the time together, was trying to bait me. She was using all these dramatic hand motions. Well, you only get as much stress as you allow. And it's like, it was obvious. She was trying to be like overly animated in order to really plant that in me. Because this could kill me, they said, in 3 to 5 years. And so obviously I've got a little emotion involved, and no one could understand, except for someone that's been a scapegoat, and then is being gang stalked as an adult. But I think back to even when I was in graduate school, 35 years ago, the professor pulled such a mean trick on me. We had to keep a journal for the whole year of our practicum. And that was important, very, very important. And then we had appointments made when we would go in and go over it and drop it off and go over it. So I had my day, Thursday afternoon, 1 o'clock, and I went in with the journal. I gave it to him, and he just threw it straight in a drawer. And I was like, oh, I thought the appointment was to go over that. He was like, no, that'll be gone over later. And I wanted to ask you about this, that, the other thing. I'm like, oh, okay. So when it's time for me to leave, I'm like, when are we going to go over the journal? And he's like, don't worry about that. We'll go over that later. So I leave. And then months go by. It's time for us to have this ceremony to graduate. And he calls me into his office and he says, I'm not going to be able to give you your diploma. It's like, what? Why not? Because you never gave me your journal. What do you mean? We had the journal appointment and I gave it to you and you said we're not going to discuss it now and that I'll contact you. It's like, that never happened. Full on gaslighting, full on game playing. We had that appointment to discuss the journal, and he knew full well what he was doing when he just took it and threw it in a drawer. He was setting me up for a fall. And I'm like, yeah, he's like, I'll give you a scroll, but it'll just be a blank piece of paper so that no one notices. But I can't give you your diploma. Your whole grade was going to be based on that journal. And I'm like, just in my head, you SOB, you son of a B. and things like that have happened to me my whole life. I mean, my absolute best friend, we were like this, surfing together, on the swim team together, going out and meeting girls together. Patrick Edward Muldowney, full-on funny Irishman. I go to the 10-year reunion, and my swim coach that loved me to death named me team captain junior year and senior year. Gave me the most valuable player junior year. Wouldn't talk to me at the 10-year reunion. But he was really, really friendly with my friend Pat. And it was Facebook. He badmouthed me through Facebook. And my coach said, I went out with a couple friends at like halfway through the reunion and had a few hits of weed. And when I came in, that's like the only thing my coach said to me all night. It was he made some jokes about, oh, your eyes look red. Smoking a little too much pot, are you? And so that's what it came down to. And this guy, Pat Muldowney, smoked more pot than all my pot friends I've ever had in my whole life. And yet he was able to convince my coach that I'm the major pothead and that he is the good one. He got a job out of an expensive UST, very expensive private Catholic school, went to Loyola Marymount, like the only really expensive junior college in the world. So his dad was a anesthesiologist, and so they had the money, and he was just a full-on partier. He never cared about responsibility. Here I am, the guy that always cared about responsibility, worked full-time during the day and went to graduate school every day at night, and for 3 years had no social life as a young 20-year-old and just worked my ass off. And he was able to convince my coach, and then I had a full-on career as a very stressful job as a school psychologist. He was just an assistant at a mental asylum. He just wanted the easy way in life, always took the easy path. I always took the hard path. And he was able to convince my swim coach that thought I walked on water during high school and loved me and gave me all these kudos and things that showed that he appreciated my hard work ethic, was able to convince him that I was the loser and he was the good one. And turns out he was the narcissist, because he started demeaning me right when high school ended, because I go visit him. He lived just like an hour away in San Pedro, where I ended up living. And he wouldn't really talk to me. He'd just laugh and joke with his roommates, and he would kind of ignore me. But I kept tolerating it, thinking, this will pass. We've been best of friends for 4 years, and it never did. And then he's behind me doing this stuff with the swim coach and basically getting ready to fully discard me. So, basically all my friends in retrospect were narcissists, because they're attracted to that scent that we have. Abused people seem to give off a scent. We have a target on our back that these abusers spot, or they smell, and they come for you. So I'm all the way up at 23 minutes, but it's really, really crazy and really, really bizarre. And I'm afraid I can't get my car. I can't get them to change the 4-wheel drive fluid, in the front. And it's years overdue. I mention it every time I take it in for the oil change. They won't do it. They won't change the filters, the air filter in the cabin or the engine. I have to change them myself for some reason. No matter what I ask them to do, they won't do anything to help me. And so it's like the motorcycle, my watch, it's like the few nice things I have, they're taking from me slowly but surely. And it's like, I want to be careful what I say, because the power of the mouth, the Bible tells us, but it's like, am I destined to be a homeless person living in a mission someday? And it really doesn't seem to, I'm going to have to really, I don't know how I'm going to avoid when it seems like everyone in society is in on this. And the most frustrating part is no one seems to ever tell you what's going on, but everyone seems to be in on it. It almost makes me think that it got really much worse when I moved down to San Pedro, because my mother needed me as close as possible to be able to come in unannounced and rearrange my furniture and leave a bunch of articles on things she thinks I need to read to better myself. And so she liked being able to have access to me at all times to F with me, basically. And I moved like at least an hour and a half away, and that's when all hell really seemed to break loose. Makes me think she married a billionaire. Makes me think if this guy is possibly spending some of his hard-earned money to destroy my life. Because the way it's been since I moved into this town, like almost 3 years and 2 months, it really doesn't make sense. Getting set up by police, having apartment management only put people that don't sleep, that don't work, that are at home all day, and people above me that are just at home all day long, every day, don't sleep, and then won't help me with problems. I mean, I'm getting my apartment broken into, and they just use that as a tool to then F with me more. All the church is in on this. And I know if you're not someone that has had this happen to you, this is like loony bin time, get him a straitjacket. But you can hear me talk. I'm coherent. I was a school psychologist, counseling people for 28 years. I'm a smart person. I'm very sane. I'm not Looney Tunes. But anyways, I'll leave it there. Leave a comment, hit like or dislike. God bless you. If you're going through this, my heart goes out to you, because, man, 2025, with this kind of stuff going on in the world, and then this kind of individual stuff going on in your life, thank God we got the Lord. And if you don't have the Lord and you're going through this, you need to read scripture. Just start with reading 15 minutes every day, and it'll come alive. And then start praying, and the Lord will come to you. And it won't make your situation any better, but it'll make it to where you can tolerate being abused by the world and losing everything you have slowly but surely. You can actually tolerate that, which is pretty amazing. God bless you. Have a good day.